All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Dave here, talking real music in real time for real people just like you, just like me. So here we are on the verge of a full blown Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young reunion. Forget the fact that David Crosby called Daryl Hannah a super predator or something like that. Forget that. That doesn't really matter. It's all water under the bridge because we have to reunite to promote censorship. Now, they did issue a statement on this. They are still angry at Spotify because they didn't kick Rogan off the platform. And the White House apparently wants Rogan gone as well. They've stated that Spotify could do more. They could do more in protecting the Republic, or our democracy. They never call it the Republic because they don't believe that we are a republic anymore. But it's interesting that this has been the catalyst for these guys to get back on the same page again. It's quite remarkable. So while it's been years since the members of CSN have collaborated, they have teamed up to ask their labels to pull all their collective recordings from Spotify. The culprit, of course, is that mean Joe Rogan, who decided to have people go on his show who had an alternate viewpoint, who wasn't just, parroting the state narrative. Isn't this interesting? And of course, I've said this multiple times now, and it's pretty low-hanging fruit to call out these boys because they were once against the state. Remember back in the day where they wrote these anti-war songs and they organized protests and they were featured as rabble rousers and they weren't being patriotic because they didn't think we should send boys off to, fight a war which had no purpose or any meaning. And they were correct about that, by the way. History has proved that all of these hippies back in the day, who maybe just needed a cause to be anti-establishment, and maybe they just stumbled into that point of view, but it was a valid point of view. Today, they've stumbled into a new cause, and that cause is getting rid of Joe Rogan or anyone who tries to present an alternate point of view. Now, their statement says that they like alternate points of view. It says, while we always value alternate points of view, knowingly spreading disinformation during this global thingdemic has deadly consequences. Yes. And here's the other part of that equation. Not allowing people to know about what's available to them as an alternative to the state-run narrative, which is mostly propped up by large corporations, including BlackRock, including pick a pharmaceutical company, right? By the way, I found out that Neil Young owns some pharma stock. Is that shocking? I mean, look, you get your portfolio, you got your 401k, you've got somebody doing all of your investing. Hey, could you put this into things that are going to really do well? And you'd be foolish, right? You'd be really stupid not to invest in pharma this year, as they've made billions of dollars and they're trying to make billions more. That's why you need 1, you need 2, you need 3, you need your rocket ship booster there. You need, how long is this going to go on, right? So Neil Young probably rubbing his hands together saying, yeah, that sounds like a good investment to me. And, I did sell my music and it got me like billions of dollars to do that. So I'm in a position now to virtue signal. And I'm sure the other members of this group, if they haven't divested their music, which means they're just going to throw it over to some big corporation. Remember, they used to kind of fight the man. Now they celebrate the man. And some corporation will do all of their bidding. Their music might end up in a commercial for a product that, some of us feel is causing this problem and not making it any better. or it's going to be related somehow. This is kind of really sad. So until real action is taken to show that a concern for humanity, wow, must be balanced with commerce, we don't want our music or the music we made together to be on the same platform. Now, how opposite day is that sentence? Until real action is taken to show that a concern for humanity, like the truckers up in Canada, no, that's not what they're talking about. Must be balanced with commerce. Well, commerce, right, depends on what type of commerce. If you're talking about large corporations with ginormous holdings, which you guys are all associated with, if you're talking about that kind of commerce, I would say, yeah, your sentence is correct. But if you're talking about Spotify, I'm not sure that applies. But look, Spotify is definitely moving in that direction. They're basically another version of Facebook or whatever. So the request covers all of the recordings by CSNY, Crosby and Nash. A lot of folks forgot about just Crosby and Nash, as well as David's and Stevens' solo projects. It's quite a bit of music. Young recently announced that he was pulling his music from Spotify after he was alerted to an open letter signed by hundreds of scientists. Now, it's interesting, hundreds. They had a stack at that horrible event that happened in DC a couple of weeks ago. They had a stack of 17,000 doctors. They say hundreds here, but 17,000 of those doctors agreed with Eric Clapton, right? Who, by the way, isn't having his music removed from any platform. These so-called medical professionals were expressing concern that how is it harmful to have informed consent? Because this is what a human being is supposed to do. They'll listen to your side, then they'll listen to the other side. But if they don't get the other side, there's no way to listen to the other side. And a lot of people haven't been exposed to all of the information. Rogan, he actually gave a platform to two very good, highly published, prior to this thingdemic, these doctors were heralded as really smart people, but now they are, quacks. So Neil had sent a letter to Spotify that basically give them an ultimatum, and he won. He won because they they took his music off of Spotify. Look, Neil Young doesn't need the money after he made the deal that he made, again, with a company affiliated with BlackRock, which is affiliated with really all of your pharma, and all of this stuff is all a tangled, ugly web of corporate and government power linked together. And these guys who once fought the man have now become the man. And they're basically, maybe they'll get back together again. Maybe this will be a full-blown musical reunion. They'll have to write a song about the evil. That's got to be a great lyric, right? The mis and disinformation and all the great lyrics you could write about that. And they're fans from the 1960s who've apparently fallen for all this stuff and followed them right over the cliff of censorship. They I guess think this is great. And the more you turn on corporate media, the more they're talking about shutting voices out. I mean, I watch the local news every morning. There's nothing about the Canadian trucker blockade. There's nothing. And that is a global event. It is something that I don't think has ever happened to this scale. And the fact that they're completely ignoring it and not allowing people to see it shows how invested they are in not giving people informed consent. And by the way, the medical consent is far more important than me seeing stuff on TV that I don't get to see. If I don't have all the information about what medicines work, what medicines don't work, if I don't have all that information, that could be life threatening. So they go 180 degrees, say this is causing life threatening problems because these doctors were so articulate. And I never see anyone saying, you know what we ought to do? We ought to bring in a doctor on this side, a doctor on that side, and have them duke it out. But nobody will do that with these people. I know this guy, Steve Kirsch, has offered like $1 million for someone basically to debate him on this issue. $1 million if they can prove him wrong. $1 million. If these guys are providing the greatest information possible, they should take him up on it, right? Because they could easily destroy him, but they don't, which is really telling. So in any event, I'm thinking a full-blown CSNY reunion, you know, and I think David Crosby and Neil Young will probably be getting along really great now, even though David Crosby said that Neil Young was the most selfish person he's ever met. So I don't know how this all works, but hey, the politics, they're all united, and it's just great to see. If you're a fan of this music, hold on, because maybe if they can, you know, make it so everybody has to bring their QR code to the stadium or to the venue, then there'll be a great concert up ahead, and then they'll cancel it probably because a roadie has the sniffles, and they'll say, oh, we have to cancel, even though he's done Walgreens 3 times. It doesn't matter. We're going to inconvenience the entire population in order to make our point and be the most virtuous. So there you have it, folks. Another day in paradise where the news is upside down and truth is no longer truth. And what we used to think were rebellious men, we used to think these guys were a little bit off the grid. They're completely with the grid now, and good for them because they're going to make a lot of money at the end of all of this.